Welcome to Tig's Bits. We are visiting with my buddy and Major League Fishing Pro Hammer, Mr. Tyler Stewart. Tyler, if you did not know, Tyler won the MLF Invitational on West Point Lake in LaGrange, Georgia, just a couple of weeks ago. So he's going to visit with us, talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about the tour. I am pretty sure that we will talk about forward-facing sonar at some point in this conversation. So look, everybody that follows and listens to the show, you know I'm giddy. Anytime we get to talk a little bit about fishing, doing stuff like that, that's kind of my wheelhouse. What I love to talk about. Before we jump to Tyler, let me bring in the one, the only, Mr. Blossy, the one-man Panama Jack posse.
Oh man, what you're talking about? This right here is an Alabama special. You can see over here. I've got
what is
you
that?
You got a little rattler. That's a rattlesnake skin hat there, made by Mary Yancey, the one and only out of Alabama. This is my dad's hat. I decided I'd pull that out for the night because we have the rattlesnake rodeo going down this weekend in Alabama. I think 62 years or something like that now running. So yeah, man,
wow.
Just a little shout out to the Rattlesnake Rodeo there. Thought I'd wear my Mary Yancey custom hat here.
I think that thing looks absolutely fabulous.
Oh yeah.
Tell us a little bit briefly before we bring Tyler into this. What in the hell is the Rattlesnake Rodeo? What is that?
Man, it started as this guy. His name was J.P. Jones way back in the day, and again, this was over 60 years ago. He used to wrestle bears and wrangle up snakes and just do all this crazy stuff there outside of Op. And that transformed into an event, and it's centered around rattlesnakes. And, you know, each year they gather up snakes. Like you can go catch rattlesnakes, turn them into them. They'll have a big pen up there. They put them all in. They bring them to the rodeo, the event itself, which is arts and crafts and music. And, you know, you got snake exhibitions, you got snake races going on, you got everything. So it ends up being, you know, like a 3-day event starting Friday, and it even has a race. I think it's called the Rattling 100 out of the South Alabama Speedway outside of Ops. So it's a pretty good time, man. This year I think they got Aaron Tippin and what's the other guy? Mitchell Tenpenny, I think, is playing on Saturday, and Aaron Tippin's playing on Sunday. So yeah, big fun. So if you out and about in South Alabama, head on over to Op, Alabama, and get just a ton of fun. And then they have a greasy pole climb contest, which is fantastic that you can get in, or the buck dancing contest. So there's all kind of good stuff there. Yeah,
you can
man.
just get in it in this thing.
Absolutely,
I mean,
you can.
If you have a fear of snakes, if that's a phobia, also a good place to go to just get rid of that sucker too, you know? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, head on out to the Rattlesnake Fest. Not sponsored, but sounds like a lot of fun. So, without any further ado, and what a hell of an introduction, by the way. Hell of an introduction. Let's bring in champion, Mr. Tyler Stewart. Tyler, sorry for making you wait so long for that, but how do you follow a rattlesnake rodeo?
I don't know if I've ever even heard of a rattlesnake rodeo. That's pretty interesting. So,
it's the rattlesnake rodeo. Yeah, there's a rattlesnake roundup in Texas, but it's not the rattlesnake rodeo in Op, Alabama. So,
I've known Blasey. I've known Blasey for several years, and I have heard him talk about this thing over the years. You know, I think eventually we're going to have to take the show on the road and go grab a little content there, But, man, Tyler, thank you so much for coming on the show, joining us tonight, dude. I know that you have had an incredible couple of weeks. Have you had a chance to, like, come back down to earth yet?
Man, I'll be honest. I mean, I've been on cloud nine ever since that win. I've been at it for 6 years now, and to finally get, a win under my belt, it's just huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I mean, there's so many guys that do this their whole lives and don't get a win. And, closing it is such a big deal. I mean, there's been so many times where I've gotten so close and, not been able to, catch them the last day or whatever. Somebody always catches them really good. So, but yeah, I mean, to answer your question, no, I really hadn't came off of cloud nine yet. I don't even want to go fishing to ruin my confidence right now.
Right. It's like, oh no. Yeah, dude, I can totally believe that. And you've earned it, man. There's no doubt about that. He's a hammer. I mean, just kind of going back how he and I know each other. Good friend of mine, Jan Watson. We call her Boots. Shout out to Boots. Put
Boots.
us in contact years ago. Like I think you were probably still in high school, Tyler, or
Yeah,
maybe you may have
I think
been
I was in college.
just started in college.
Yep.
And he was fishing for ULM at the time, or whatever the hell they're called,
Yeah.
The
whatever,
Warhawks, baby. That's it.
Yeah. So and he goes on and wins. You won the college national championship too, didn't you? What
I
year was
didn't win
that?
the national championship. I won both the Southern Conference championships, the one for FLW and Bass.
Oh, that's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this dude's been doing it for a while. He's had a lot of top 25 finishes, top 10 finishes. Been there in the money a lot. So I mean, man, I mean, we'll just go ahead and get this question out of the way. Is your next step of where you want to continue to take this? Obviously, you want to go to the next step to go up to the Bass Pro Tour, fish with those cats. Is that
Yeah,
the
I
goal
mean,
for the rest of the season? Now you're in a good position in the points to
right.
have a shot
Yeah.
at making the top five.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really nice to qualify for that and to get to fish that. Luckily that win that I had last week qualified me for Red Crest, which is their
Yeah,
championship, which is
yeah,
cool. But yeah, I mean, they've kind of switched up some stuff on us. I mean, we got to stay in the top 5 in points, to advance to that next deal. But yeah, I just need to fish clean and be consistent the rest of the year, and should have a good shot at it.
Hey,
What?
Tyler, let me ask you. So, speaking of, this is where my ignorance comes into this. So, you say to that next step. So, what is the next step? So, I assume this is like an affiliation, kind of like PGA Golf has with the Web.com Tour. Is it something like that where you get so many points, you kind of work your way at like
So
an advancement?
it's similar. So basically, like the league that I fish, I don't know
Yeah.
how familiar you are with FLW, but there used to be a league called the FLW Tour, and
Okay.
most of the guys from the FLW Tour. So basically, Major League Fishing bought FLW and started another league. So basically, there's 2 leagues under one umbrella. They got MLF Big Five, which is a professional league, which is what I fish. And that's all most of the old FLW tour anglers. It's still 5 biggest fish. You weigh your 5 biggest, every day of the event. And then if you want to advance to the net, to that other league, it's like a total weight deal. You got to
Okay.
finish top 5 in points at the end of the season to fish that. Um, Obviously, it's a little more prestigious, to be there. But as far as actual payouts and stuff like that, it's actually not that much different. So
Okay.
um,
Okay.
I would say they got, they get a little more coverage than we do. Sponsor wise, it would probably be better to be there. But, in all honesty, I'm just fish for a living. I don't really care what league I fish.
Just
That's
put you on
what
the water.
Tyler had that call. He called me this afternoon, and he's like, "What you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm selling insurance. I'm enrolling a school system at the moment. It's about lunchtime." Hey, he was like, "Oh yeah, well that sounds like a lot of fun." I was like, "Well, I mean, I would love to be a professional bass fisherman, but I just
Yep.
couldn't catch them back when it was my day. I wasn't bad, but just couldn't catch them. Now I have fished with Tyler more than more than once, and his now wife was going to vet school here at LSU. So kind of jumping back to that, she rented a house here. Tyler would come down, visit her occasionally, and give me a shout, and we would go a little pond hopping across Baton Rouge,
A little
and
pond
that's
hopping.
always fun when you're with a professional bass fisherman.
Heck yeah, it
To
is.
go do that. Literally fish in a barrel for that fella right there. And I mean, one day we went and it was like 4 pounder, 4 pounder, 4 pounder, and he's caught 3 or 4, and I barely made a cast. Like, what the hell are you doing? He's doing his thing. He handed me his rod, and then I caught a few too. It was like
That's
it's
when you realize you
unbelievable
were a
what those
pro.
guys can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
That was a good pun.
Yes, it was, and it's probably a little late now. I don't know. I should probably go. I need to go check
You,
that thing.
you should probably go check that thing
I
out. I
think
remember
I
they were
should probably go.
spawning in that thing all the way to like May.
That's true, and it was about now when we did that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I need to go. I need to go jerk on a couple of heads. I'll report back. I'll report
Just
back.
wait for a car to go through the gate so the gate will open.
It's so terrible, man. I listen to a lot of fishing podcasts and stuff, and you know that seems to be the mo for all of us guys who just like to fish. You kind of skirt the edge a little bit.
Hmm.
Blazey's a fisherman now. He don't get this twisted. He's just not a bass fisherman and not in the game. He is a bass fisherman, but not
Well,
in
yeah.
the not deeply in the game.
No,
Right.
no, no, no. Scratch the surface as a kid, fishing little ponds, brim and bass fishing was what we did. Catch a little catfish on the side. But yeah, now I mainly I surf fish a lot, and I love surf fishing down here on the beach.
So
So
I would love, every time we go down to the beach, I always go out there and I don't ever catch anything hardly. Like I always just like tight line a shrimp out there, put like a 2 ounce weight on there and sling it out there. What do I need to do next time I go to the beach to catch a fish?
man, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, shrimp's not bad, right? I mean, everybody likes a shrimp, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of where you're at, working the cuts, trying to find where those rip currents are. I always prefer those if I can find them. I feel like it's better than just trying to fish in the trough. You're kind of fishing
Right.
and some of those rips through there if you can find those. But in addition, dude, they've got some good synthetic baits to add to whatever you're using. They're called fish bites. I mean,
Right.
and dude, they're really really good. And then I've gotten lately where I've started pulling these ghost shrimp out of the ground, with a ghost shrimp sucker out of the sand, and using those, and that's like candy for these big reds and for these pompano. They love them, but they're not really
Dang.
running really good right here right now. Like I've been the last few days and just been kind of super quiet, but water's warming up. It gets up to right at 70. I think we should be in good shape. I think we're at about 65, 66 degrees right now. Getting close. Getting close.
So for someone that's going to the beach on vacation, just Orange Beach in general, I
Yeah.
mean, could you just go out there with what you're talking about? Basically, what I do is I'll wait out there to the sandbar, go
Yeah.
all the way to the end of the sandbar till it drops off, and just sling it as far as I can out there, and then walk back to the bank. Is that pretty much what you do?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just want to get in that trough out there where they're kind of
Yeah.
where they hide a little bit. And yeah, that's it, man. Just kept, just have like a pompano rig with like two hooks on it. Like you said, depending on the what the current's doing. Size,
Right.
weight, minimal as you can get. Two, three, four, whatever, and then put that on there. But those fish bites are a nice addition. They're little. You just cut them in little pieces. They're synthetic, but they love them to death, man. Like it's a good add. I'll fish with just those when the pompano are really running through here. That's all I'll use because the pompano are so selective on those fish bites. That's all you'll
Hmm.
catch. You won't catch anything else
Hmm.
hardly.
Huh.
So
I'm
yeah.
trying to hook like a shark. I'm trying to clear the whole beach. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Dude,
Hell
when
yeah.
last time, they got those fishing piers and stuff. Like, you walk out there and there's like 50 Asians out there just yanking on all kinds of fish.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Yes.
I walk out there and there are these giant sharks swimming around. Everybody's reeling their baits in, like just trying to get their baits away from them. I'm cutting everything I have up, slinging it out there. Hook
Oh,
one
that's
of them. It
awesome.
just spools me, gets everybody tangled up. They're all pissed off, speaking in another language to me. And I'm just like, yeah, this ain't for me.
Yeah, dude.
That is awesome. That's great,
Hell
man.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I want to do some more. I'd like to do more of that, like stuff at nighttime and stuff. And that's where but to get really out there, I want to get to and like I need to get like a drone, which I have a drone, and start really flying my bait way
Yeah.
out there and dropping it. You know what I mean? And like, I'd like to do more of that. I haven't done much of it, but that's fun. You know what I mean? I'd
Yeah.
love to land a shark on the beach.
Yeah. You can
I haven't
rent
done
those
that yet.
jet skis and stuff. You might rent a jet ski and haul it way out there and drop it off somewhere.
That might be a great idea. Yeah, that's pretty
Dude, a
genius.
drone. Just imagine a drone. You screw it up, dude. If you do what you did with the drone in Mobile, I'm extremely concerned that it may not work out well. That
Fair
thing's
enough.
going right in the water. You
Fair
don't use
enough.
that drone, dude. Don't use that one. Get another one. Oh man, that was hilarious. But look, I mean, that's a good little segue into technology, and kind of want to jump back though and talk about your win. Um,
Hmm.
just here recently, I've got a little video. I'm going to show the clip of when and I was watching, dude. I lost my mind. Just I was sitting out here when you caught the 4 pounder. I was like, oh hell yeah, he's in it. And then I want you to tell what happened at the end that we didn't get to
Yeah.
see. You know.
Okay.
So yeah, let me pull that. Let me pull it up real quick. Here we go.
That's what we need.
Snatched him right off that dog.
Let's go! Yes! Look how he ate that thing, dude. I didn't even click the reel over, and he had it. $4.10.
Look at those live wells. We're gonna talk about that. Those lids are bad for dads.
Pretty big. I mean,
Yes!
Yes,
man, that's awesome.
sir.
Wait, why'd you
Hell
throw
yeah.
that fish out?
That was I was culling that one, so I'd already had
okay.
5.
Oh,
You know,
that was
you
your
only-
that was your
Yep.
small 5.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I got you. Okay.
Yep.
So you
But
caught that fish, and at the time, because in those rules, it's not there isn't a score tracker, so no one is you don't
no,
know what the actual
right.
weight is. But did you feel pretty good when you caught that fish? Because that took you up to put you in
I
the lead or right at it.
knew that once I caught that one, I was one bite away from winning it. And
Yeah.
you know, I had a couple pound and a halfers in my live well. I figured if I could catch 2.5 pounders or one, 3.5, I'd have a legit shot at winning it. And dude, I fished so hard, trying to get that next bite. Couldn't do it. I had like a backup plan to catch spotted bass, and there was a lot of 2.5 pound spotted bass out there, but I ran out there and I caught like 15 of them, and none of them were very big. And then so it's like 2:45. I'm doing it 3, and there is one stretch of docks in the mouth of the creek, where we were doing at, and I'll roll up there at literally 2:50, and there's 2 docks, and the first one I pull up to, I slung that chatterbait under, and I caught a 3.5 pounder, and
And-
this was after live had went off. This is
Right.
this was
Right. Yeah.
this was at the very end of it, and dude, I put that fish in the boat, and I looked at my marshal and I said, dude, if I win because of this fish, that's literally just meant to be. And sure
Yes.
enough, I won by only a couple ounces, and yeah, it was just crazy. I
Oh,
mean,
that's awesome,
I
man.
pulled back up to the
Dude,
ramp, and I didn't think I had it won. I figured, I got at least third or whatever.
so when you hit the stage and you're sitting in the hot seat,
Mhm.
on a scale of 1 to 1 million, how nervous were you throughout
Dude,
that? And your
I was
boy, what's his name, Chris
shaking.
Jones? He just
Yep.
drags it on, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was. Yeah. I mean, and when he put he put the guy's fish on the scales, I could see the weight, but he had his hand on the bag, so it looked like he had like 15 or 16 pounds. So I was like,
Yeah,
well, I don't have it won or whatever.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
he
yeah.
left. He was like, he needs, 13 pounds, 4 ounces or something, or 5 ounces. And when he let go of that scale, it went to like 13.2 or something. I like lost it, dude. It was crazy.
You did, dude. As much as Tyler loses it, he is very, very composed. Like you just really, we play golf. We've done a lot of.
Yeah.
Tyler, he don't.
Well,
Yeah,
dude, when you go that many years, I mean, like, and you get that first win, like, I can only imagine. I don't care what you're doing. You know what I mean? If you're that committed to something, like that's when you lose it, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's,
dude. Hell yeah.
it's such an up and down sport. You know what I mean? Like, I could get dead last at the next event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not one of those sports that, it's so hard to be consistent, like there's
Very.
very few people that have, been very, dominant, been able to, continuously win. Guys go through little, streaks and get on a hot, that they'll win 2 or 3 in a year, or, a couple years, and then you won't hear about them for a little while, and then I don't know. It's just up and down. It's just crazy
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
I think there's so much mental. I mean, like you were talking about golf. Golf's the same way.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
so much mental in this sport. When you're fishing good, you got confidence, everything's kind of going your way. You have one bad event and kind of get
Spun
down in
out.
the dumps, and then you spin out, and then it's just like disaster, disaster, disaster.
Hey, yeah, I mean, you see it with I think every angler at some point goes through that. Every single one of y'all goes through it, and everybody that's doing it is good. I mean, it's got to be the most rewarding feeling in the world to win one of those. Just, I mean, no, it's just that list of people who actually win an event is not that long in the grand scheme of things as to the amount of people that fish those tournaments. So man, kudos
Yeah.
for sticking in there. I knew you would win one. There was that. I mean, I had zero doubt. Now that monkey's off your back. Go go win the next one. Get on up there in the points. Come on. It's
Yeah,
easy. Go do it
I
now.
think the first one's the hardest one to win. You know what I mean? It's like
I think it
even in
is. Yeah.
college, the first one we won in college. I mean, we ended up winning two that year. It's so hard to get that first one.
And then you
So
just really, I guess
After you get the
you
monkey off
kind
your
of get
back,
that
you're
monkey
just
off your. Yep.
yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
The
I
whole
was
monkey off
fishing
your back.
so tight. Like, I had a 2 pound lead after that first day. Going into the second day, like, being in the lead is hard. I'd rather be like in second or
Yeah.
third. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
And
I
go catch
fished
them.
so tight that second day and wasn't making good decisions. Didn't fish well. Only caught 10 pounds that second day. But going into that third day, it was like all or nothing. You know what I mean? Like there was no
Yeah.
pressure. It was just like I don't know. It was I had like a different mindset for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. I was going to ask that a while ago. Like, because in any sport that you play or anything that you do and you compete, when you find yourself like you've just got that first win in, like, because you probably find yourself pressing and pressing sometimes more. Now you can probably fish, I was going to say, you could probably fish a little more loose,
Yep.
you know what I mean, and go out there. And I understand, as the tournament evolves and each day evolves, you probably change, but still, now you've got the
Yep.
win. So I guess that definitely is a factor, huh?
No doubt. I mean, there's such a fine line between how you fish. I mean, you can go out there and fish conservative for checks, which is how you make a living in this industry. I mean, you got to cut some
Yeah.
checks, or
Yeah.
you can go
Yeah.
out there and try to win every time. You know what I mean? It's just like hero or zero type deal, and
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I guess you could say that second day I fished way too conservative. I guess just trying to make sure I caught enough weight to have be in contention the third day. And, I caught the minimum amount of weight I could have, not on purpose, but, to be in contention the
Yeah.
last day. And, I just think if I would have been fit, mentally a little different, I'd have made better decisions on the water and, fished a little more thorough.
Did you learn anything from Taekwondo or what? However you pronounce
Ticonderoga.
it? There it is, Taekwondo. Did you what was that actual tournament? What was the name? What was the name of that
That
fishery?
was
That's
at
where
Lake
you ended up,
Champlain.
Lake Champlain. That's right. So he
Yeah.
finished.
So,
You finished second in that one, right?
no, I
Wasn't it
finished
second, third?
eighth. I
Oh,
finished
okay.
eighth in
But
that one, but I
leading
led.
going into the
It
final
was
day.
a 4 day event, and I went in the last day with a 2 pound lead. And
That's right. That's right.
dude, I was so nervous, and my starting spot didn't pan out. I had some locals kind of jacking with me down there, um, and just after that, I just spun out. You know what I mean? Like days not don't start out well. You just start running around, just doing stuff you shouldn't be doing, and one thing leads to another, and you come in not even catch a limit. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much what happened then. I just I don't know. I think I've gotten a lot more mature since then. That was my second year on tour. I've seen a lot of different scenarios, and you know um, you got to try some different stuff every day to win this thing. Like win these things now. I mean, it's so hard to win off of one little area or one little deal, and I just didn't have enough stuff to fish down there. When I got down there, and there was another tournament going out of down there, like a local tournament, and a lot of the places I wanted to fish were covered up with people. I mean, I was just
Mm.
spun out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
it threw you
So
Yeah.
off your game there a ton.
so I
So
this event I practiced for it. Obviously I had that backup deal. And
Yeah.
I was just kind of bouncing back and forth between stuff, trying not to, um, burn up all my fish the first 2 days. Like that first day, I caught that 21 pound, or I caught 16 pounds really quick, and then just left those fish. And some of those fish are kind of what got me through the next 2 days. And used to, I would have burnt that thing to the ground the first day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, that's taken because it's like, hey, if, you got to get it while the getting's good, strike while the
yeah,
iron's
Oh
hot,
yeah.
kind of deal. And that's where the whole game comes into this deal is like, crap, do I keep trying to go? Hope these fish don't leave and
Yeah.
I can go and hit on them tomorrow and get me a couple more. Did
yep.
you primarily that you did you weigh in that you caught off of that boat dock that we saw you fishing?
Uh, I probably weighed 75% of my fish off that one marina.
Dang.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
Wow. That's
unbelievable.
awesome.
I mean, I
I
jumped around
saw
a little
some.
bit and caught some, doing some other stuff. But I had two marinas that where you saw that where that clip you showed. That was actually a marina that I fished in practice. I got one bite on. Um, After I caught that 15 pounds the first day in the other marina, I ran in there and ended up catching a 5 pounder. And, that was unexpected because, didn't have a good practice in there. Fished it the
Right.
second day, didn't get a single bite. And then the third day I catch that, 4.5
Dang.
pounder. So, um,
So
no,
is that
the
what
place was tough, dude. It was a tough place to fish.
let
Yeah,
me
I
ask
mean
you that.
those
You mentioned a
weights.
while ago you
The
had
weights were like, good lord. Yeah, it showed that it was tough, for no doubt. Sorry,
yeah,
Blazy.
do you no, you're fine. It's I'm curious, you were going back to something a while ago. You said you were talking to some locals. It felt like you got some bad intel. So makes me think, so when you go fish some of these places, let's say you've never fished or you've very fished
Yep.
um so it sounds like where do you get your intel from? How do you scout that before you go? I know you get practice days in, but what's
So
kind
we
of
go off limits like a month before where we can't talk to anybody about anything.
oh
So,
wow.
we can talk to the anglers that we're fishing against,
Yeah.
but we cannot talk to a non-competitor about it. So unless you
Can
get
you
some
watch
insight on
social
a,
media? Can you watch
yeah, I mean,
social
you can,
media
well, you can't
stuff?
watch stuff during the week. Like if MLF posts something, where some guys were catching
Okay.
them during the week,
That's
we're not
crazy. I
supposed
did
to
not know
watch
that.
that. But,
Yeah.
as far as like, just public knowledge, we can look up stuff and anything like that, but we cannot like you know go and get information from some local hammer on the lake or anything like that.
Right.
So, but no, what you were talking about. So what happened to me down at Champlain is, dude, I went down there, and when I got down there, when I say there were some locals down there, so they were actually not even in the tournament, and they were just, I don't know, they were just hard to deal with. They didn't want me to fish by them. They didn't, it was just one of those deals where, Northerners, man.
I understand completely. So you're talking about some of the competitors were kind of just being a little like, yeah,
No, not, they weren't competitors. They were
oh,
literally
Just some
just fishing.
locals.
fish. Oh, just people
Just
fishing and just
when
Yeah.
I
being
say
kind of.
locals, I mean guys that ain't
Oh,
even
I
in the
gotcha
event.
now. Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were just up there fun fishing, and
and they
I had
kind
an
of scoop
area
it
that
up. Yeah.
I was fishing, and I politely asked if if they minded if I fished with them, around there, and they were like, hell no, I mean,
Dang, I
just
got you
like,
now. That
and
sucks, dude. I mean,
yeah, I
yeah, what
mean,
an ass.
it was
Sorry.
kind
Yeah.
of, it was just, it was a lot of stuff that went down. I won't even get into all that,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Some
it
people
was
are friendlier than
unfortunate.
others, is what you're saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
enough, but that would spin you out. I mean,
that's
that
fun.
would
It would.
spin
Yeah, I mean,
anybody out,
it's
dude.
spun me out. So,
Yeah.
but it's it's one of those deals. I mean, I learned a lot from it, and just try to be more prepared when it comes to multi-day events to have more stuff to run. I should
Right.
have been looking for, when I caught those good bags the first day, I should have been looking for new stuff, in the afternoons instead of beating on those places that I already knew there was fish.
Right.
I
Right.
would think they would close the lake down for local. I mean, like if you play a golf tournament, I can't go out in the middle of a golf tournament and just start playing golf. I mean, like,
I think the issue is, we're on public bodies of water,
Right.
and I don't know
I
how they
mean,
would monitor that.
oh, okay.
that's a good. You're bringing up a good point. So, Tyler, I would ask. I mean, you fish all around the country, and My theory and my thoughts of any time. Number one, I'm not going to be on the lake when they fish. When the
Right.
pros are on the lake, I just don't go fish because we fish a lot of the same areas. So
Right.
I'm not going to get in their way. And I mean, sometimes they run into there is a tournament or a club tournament or
Yep.
whatever
Yeah.
going on, and you have to share water. But I would always give nod to the
Yeah.
freaking pros who have paid $5,000 or $6,000 or whatever it is for an entry fee. I'm over here fishing $100 jackpot. Yeah, I'm going to let that guy in front of me, which is just common courtesy. And
Right.
what everybody listening to this, if you're not doing that, shame on you.
No kidding.
I mean, it isn't cheap for these guys to tour around and do what they do. Every fish counts, and every fish helps them make a
Right.
living. You're out there fun fishing. Anyhow, have you ran across what's something crazy besides that you've run across just while out fishing a tournament that's just been like, what?
Man, I had one event on Lake Eufaula. The guy was actually really nice, and he, but I pulled up, I only had like one or two good places. I didn't have the greatest practice. And, I run to my first spot and there's a guy sitting there. He's not in a rat boat. I could just tell he wasn't in the tournament. He didn't have a marshal or anything. So I pull up beside him and he was like, there's a tournament going on. I mean, dude, there's like 200 rat boats that have been on this lake for a week. And I was like, yeah. I was like, you mind if I fish this area with you? He was like, no, man, come on. I done caught 18 pounds right here, right before you got here.
Oh,
And dude, I was like, how do you not know there's a tournament going on your local, he's like, on your home lake, which I don't, he was nice. Like, he let me fish
Yeah.
with him. And, I mean, it sucked because, it was like a real small bite window, and he took advantage of that and he caught them. But I ended up only weighing one bass that day, and the next day I ended
damn.
up pulling back up to that same spot. He wasn't there. I caught 18 pounds off of it and missed a check by 2 ounces.
Oh, my
gosh.
Lord.
Oh.
So I mean,
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, that
so I
ties
mean
right
that
into what
right
I'm
there,
saying.
that right there cost me no
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 less than
less than 10 grand.
10,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough, man,
Damn.
when you're battling not only the elements in the lake and other competitors, but then people like me who just show up with a hat on like this and I'm over there taking
Yeah.
all the fish out of your honey hole, before
Believe
you
it or
get there.
Oh, yeah,
not,
you're
I
that
would
guy.
say it's, when there's local
I am.
tournaments going on and stuff, I've never really had any run-ins with those guys at
That's
all.
good.
I mean, usually
Yeah.
they're pretty, they know what's going on the lake, and
I'm sure they have a ton of respect most of the time, you know what I mean?
right,
Like, oh, this is
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
It's if, and I really haven't ran into that many issues, period, with people on the lake. But like I said, those two scenarios are the only scenarios that I feel like have cost me money or cost me places.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
but it's gonna happen. It don't just happen to me. It happens to everybody. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. And I mean,
What's the
there's,
biggest bass you ever caught?
I caught a
yeah.
12-7 at
Oh,
Bussy
wow.
Break,
Good
the
Lord.
lake up here by my house. It hadn't been open very many years.
Which
Super
was the
fertile
lake,
lake.
which was the lake
It was the
record.
lake record for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've broke it a bunch of times since then. But
Isn't it up to, is it up to 15 or something? Did I
yeah,
see? Or am I dreaming that?
Somebody caught a 15 like last week.
Good God.
Yeah.
That's crazy
Crazy.
town.
Jeez. But
But
Tyler, he fishes Caney Lake in Louisiana, and I'm gonna let Tyler. We'll take right now, and then transition that beautiful place with live scope and what you've seen, because I mean we got to dive into what that
yeah,
is, not just from a pro angler standpoint and what it is in competing, but what it's doing in fishing for everybody.
right.
We're learning new things. But Tyler guides on Caney Lake in North Louisiana. Tyler, tell everybody out there about this hidden gem of a big
Well, it's
bass.
not a hidden gem anymore,
Yeah, it's still
uh,
kind of hidden.
but it's a
Yeah,
great
not
lake. I
really, I
mean,
guess.
people ask me all the time, what's your favorite lake in the world, and I tell every one of them Caney Lake. I mean, it's lake at home. It's a small lake. It's a 5,000 acre lake, but it's got everything you could ever want, you know, in a 5,000 acre lake. It's got offshore structure. It's got grass. It's got docks. It's a great training ground, you know, as far as, you know, learning different techniques and, you know, trying to, you know, hone in on a certain, you know, like if we were going to go to a lake where you think they're going to be on docks, you know, you can go out there and practice flipping docks or fishing grass or offshore, whatever you want to do. And there's just not many lakes that's set up, you know, where you can do so many different things and catch bass and catch big ones too. I mean, there's been a lot of state records caught out of there, you know, and
Yeah.
it's a place you can go and catch a 4 to 8 pounder just about every time you go, which is crazy. There's not many places in the world like that.
Wow,
No,
that's awesome. I've
no,
never
not at
heard of
all.
it, so it's still a hidden gem from somebody like myself. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
We're
awesome,
gonna
it's
man.
go. We're gonna go with Tyler one day. You got to go to this lake. We're gonna let him show us some stuff because I've gone with him up there, and imagine that day that you and I went. You know,
mhm.
we had a full moon. We had tried to plan it perfect.
Yep,
Everything on paper, you know, besides a little
yep,
cool front coming through, everything on paper it was perfect. You had been
yep,
out there like a day or two before. They were spawning. They have some of these boats. Chad have these monster like towers on them, so they can stand it like they do, like
Yeah,
you're fishing for
yep,
snook in the Everglades. They have those,
yeah.
so
They
the
just
spawning
back over the
beds.
motor there. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can they can sight fish and see all
Wow.
monsters. Well, they had moved out. Could you imagine if on that day had we had forward facing sonar,
yeah.
what we would have been able to go and do? You know, you could recoup it. So let's jump into that. What is your thought? What are your thoughts on forward facing sonar and where it's at right now? And do you like using it or not? Little bit of a secret. I do not believe that you use that to win a tournament. So you can win a professional tournament without using live scope or forward facing sonar. Am I wrong?
You can, but it's probably the first one won in the last 2 or 3 years without it.
It may be the
But
Wow.
last for a while too.
It's crazy, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
but I'll be
crazy.
honest, dude. I love live scope. I love doing it. I like going out there. I feel like it levels the playing field. I mean, you got a lot of young guys coming up and stuff that are really good at it. I mean, these young guys that have only been fishing a couple years, it gives them a chance against somebody, you know, who's been doing this for 20, 30 years and fished these lakes 100 times. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are salty about it, but you know, there's like because of all the young guys having so much success with it. But dude, I think it's here to stay. I like it. I enjoy doing it. You know, I'd like to get a little better at it. There's some guys out there that are just on another level, but but you know, I spend a lot of time doing it too, and it's something that you know, we're all gonna have to get good at, or we're gonna get left behind.
What makes
Yeah,
you
I mean
good
that
versus like
that's
not
the
like?
thing.
I'm trying to understand. Like, so you see in the fish, they're out in front. Like, what you mean? How to like manage that fish now that you see it, or like
Well,
what
just
separates
think
like
about.
good and not good?
I mean, there's so many different species of fish out there.
Yeah.
So you just say you go out in the middle of Toledo Bend or somewhere like that. You got catfish, drum,
Yeah.
carp, crappie, everything you can imagine, and it's being able to, you know, pick out the bass in between those fish,
Yeah.
and you know, and then catch them. So I mean, it's not easy to catch them. I mean, you got to, you know, there's different techniques that you know, work better than others, and you know, obviously right now the you know, Demiki rig is so strong, and that's what's winning a lot of events. It's just a little minnow, you know, on a jig head. It's nothing crazy. I'm sure you've
Yeah.
thrown a lot of stuff very similar to it at saltwater fish, but
Hmm.
but yeah, there's just I mean, it's not that it's that hard to catch them. It's when you get around them, it's getting around them and you know, figuring out what they, you know, what they want to eat, and you know, getting around the bigger fish. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Just
my biggest deal. Like I've like at Rayburn this year, like I could catch 30 or 40 a day doing it, but I could only catch 2.5 pounders, only 12 pounds worth doing it. And you know, there's guys that are literally just targeting the big fish. Like they won't even throw at it unless it's
Right.
4 pounds or not. And that's very hard to tell. And you know, those guys that are, you know, came up doing nothing but that, you know, can tell, is that fish 4, 5, 6 pounds, or you know, is he going to bite? Is he worth, casting at or chasing around a little while. I mean, there's just a lot that goes into it that people don't realize. I mean, a lot of the guys that
Yeah.
are, that they want to say, oh, it's live scope, anybody can do it. But I promise you, you can go throw a live scope right now on someone's boat who's never done it before, or even someone who's done it some and, haven't done a lot, and they ain't going to catch them with it. It's tough. I
Nope.
mean, it is extremely
Yeah.
tough. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
It's
not a
just another
television
tool.
picture of a fish just swimming around saying hello. Yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot
Yeah.
of stuff to,
It's not
and
that
it's just
easy.
like imaging and in the medical field, which I'm in, like where like the image could be right in front of you, but you don't really know what you're looking at. And if you're not really good at knowing what you're looking at, you may miss something that's very major, which in your case would be a big fish, or a
right,
small
right.
fish. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
it
get
makes
it. I
it's
get
it's
it.
just tough. I mean, and the thing we talk about, a couple of me and my buddies talk about, it's like I'm 29, but we are not in that generation, of like the
Right.
hammer live scopers. My generation still goes down a bank, or it will be live scoping and see a lay down and be like, oh, there's probably a fish over there, and go over there and fish it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
The
Yep.
generation now, like they literally will not do anything but live scope. And that's why they're so
Right.
good at it. You know what I mean? Like if they were to go
That.
look at that, go fish that lay down, they'd troll up to it and look to see if there was one in it, either, whether fish it or
Hit it or
not. You know what
not.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean
Well, it's
I
all
don't
sight
know.
fishing
that
for them, one way or another. Yeah.
that's where I think that you're really in at a perfect age, Tyler, because you're young enough to be an adopter of all the technology and to know how to use it, utilize it, but also old enough to you could go and catch plenty of fish without it. You don't need
Right.
it like to just go catch fish. Now, from a competitive standpoint, if everybody else is going to have it, then you're at a complete disadvantage if you don't have it or don't know how
Right.
to use it. I think that's where some of this controversy is coming in with professional anglers and the community and all of that, is that some people don't like that these young bucks are coming in and starting to take checks. Maybe they don't have the respect for them, that they don't think that they can catch it without them. I don't know. I've not been around those guys. I can't really form an opinion. Any
I'll be
thoughts on
completely
that?
honest. It is harder to learn how to fish. It's more effective. Don't get me wrong. Live scope fishing is way more effective. But
Hmm.
it is harder to learn how to fit live scope fish than it is to learn how to fish like traditionally. 1000%.
I
So all the guys you see on the internet talking about, oh, it's so easy, just go out there and look around and catch them. I promise you, it's harder to do that than to go down the bank, throwing a square bill or flipping laydowns or whatever. It's so different. You know what I mean? And it's hard to,
it's yeah,
I don't
It
know.
I
sounds
don't
it
think I
sounds
would be
like so
that
many
good
other
at
things.
it.
No, I
Sorry.
mean, it's no. Y'all, I mean, you bring up a great point on this too. It's like, but if you're, and Brantley said this too. So if you're an early adopter, this is technology that's a game-changing technology, and it's obviously if you can master it, which sounds like the mastery level of this is really, really, really difficult on a scale of, learning the
Yeah.
old school versus the new school. But if you can do that, you're gonna reap the benefits. And hey, time has shown in any type of industry and any type of, if you can adopt to that technology that's going to give you an advantage and become a master at it, you usually come out on top, and those that don't usually get left behind. That's just pretty much simple.
No doubt. And I mean, I'll say there's like tiers to this too. Like on a scale like 1 to 10, like these guys coming up out of college that are so good. Like these guys are like 8 to 10 with live scope. Like these guys, they're gonna go out there, they're gonna do that the entire practice, and they're gonna figure out how to utilize that in a tournament. You got guys like me, that I would say like that next generation up, probably like a 5 to 8 with it. We're still good with it, still can catch them with it, but not like
Yeah.
not just insane. And then a lot of your guys that used to win a lot of events, just absolute hammers, the shallow fishing, structure fishing, stuff like that, that will not
Them
even
boys our
utilize
age,
it.
Blacy.
Yeah, that's right.
They, they won't even, I mean, they won't embrace it at all. A lot of them won't. I mean, some of them are,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? but a lot of them just cannot stand it, can't stand the idea of it, and are doing everything they can to get it banned. You know what I mean? But I mean,
So crazy.
the people sponsoring our events, Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird, these are the companies that keep our league afloat, and these are the companies
Right.
that are selling this.
They writing
So
the checks.
I do
Yeah.
not see it going anywhere. I don't care what anybody says.
No.
There might be some leagues where it's monitored or to where it's like hindered to maybe two transducers. A lot of guys
Right.
now
Right.
are running 4 to 5 transducers, forward facing transducers, and we're talking
Dude,
two on the
it's
front,
silly.
two on the back. I mean,
Wow.
it's getting out of hand
Did
for sure. But
see?
Yeah, put some. Hey, Tiggs, why don't you tell them about the idea that we have to save fishing,
We did.
save
Yes.
fishing, and
Yes.
yeah. I mean, yeah. You want to
I
go?
think we've
You want
got
to
an
review that?
idea here. It's
Yeah.
super easy. You somehow or another you just limit. You can use scope, but you only limit it to practice. You can use it in practice. Can't use it in an event. Or
yeah,
In an
or
event, maybe you can use it for
or
like an
or
hour or
there's got to
something,
be some way
or
that
two.
they may not be able to do it now, but some way they could put out a software update to where it had a timer on it. You could use it, but it could only be used for like an hour in a day or something like that, to where
yeah.
it limits the time. I don't know how this would ever work out in a real world, but I mean, they're gonna have to
We
think of
brainstormed it
think
one
of
time. Yeah.
something, or just they let it go. If you want to listen to a really good podcast, Tyler was on one called The Spotted Dog, and there's a guy, I think, was he the Garmin guru? Was he one of the
Garmin
guests that
Guru,
was
yeah,
on there with you?
yeah,
Man, they go into, especially like the last 30 minutes of that episode, they go into dialing in, the contrast on the things, all the different colors, the way to see it gets deep, how you see the blobs, the way the cone is, how it faces, how if you're looking at 90 feet, what'd y'all say, a 90-foot stretch at the end of that cone, it's really a 30-foot, you're
yeah,
looking at a 30-foot area. So, I mean, you got to think there's still that mass of water, and there's plenty of room for error. And if you don't make a perfect cast on those fish, a lot of times, once you make a cast or two, does that spook them pretty much, or they
well,
swim off, you lose them,
a lot of
or they
times
just
if
won't
if
bite?
you make a cast at them and you don't make that perfect cast and they get a look at it, what they'll do is they'll swim up behind it, get a good look at it, and just they'll ease off, and then you can throw at them 100 more times, and a lot of times they won't even give it any interest. But what I found is, like, when you want to make a perfect cast and you want to get it close to them, but you don't want to get it too close to them, because you really don't want them to get that good of a look at it, because um, they there's so many of them that will just swim up, look at it, and turn around. So for me, like, I just try to keep it a couple feet above them, and then when they start exerting energy toward it, I start reeling it faster. You know what I mean? And
Right,
then
right, right.
when
I
and it looks like more like a bait fish. A bait fish isn't going to just stop when
tries to run away.
a bass is running behind it. So um, I don't know. There's some little tricks and stuff that I do that a lot of times I can get a bite. Get a couple extra bites doing. But um, yeah, there's just so much more that goes into it than just casting a
Oh
fish.
yeah, but I think the coolest thing with it all is how we've learned, everybody has learned in the last 2 or 3 years, especially the behavior of a bass, and that they don't, frankly, we've been wrong. The myth, some of these things have been myths that
Dude, there
we
are
have had.
so many myths out there that have been, uncovered with live scope. I mean, you can put the trolling motor down anywhere in the lake and
And
troll around
find
and
one.
just see fish. You know what I mean? Uh, you know, for them to get set up and bite, like on the bottom, it takes a spot. You know what I mean? A certain spot, like whether it's a drop or a current eddy or a brush pile or something like that. And we always thought those fish out there in the middle, they just roam around, don't eat it, don't bite anything, until they set up the feed on one of those, quote unquote spots. But that's what forward facing sonar showed us, is those suspended fish out there will bite. And you don't necessarily have to have a spot. You know, you can just cover water with that thing and pick off a big one here and there. And that's what these younger guys are doing. And that's why these older guys can't stand it, because they've spent 20 years looking for spots, and that was their advantage. And that's not really an advantage anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
you're
I
just
mean,
catching them out in open water, and like, what's going on there? Why is that
Yeah. I
happening?
mean, they're just out there roaming around. I mean, in the middle of
Yeah.
nothing.
isn't it crazy?
It don't
And we
have to
just are
be
like,
any
why would they be
timber.
out there? They're out there. Do you find that those fish travel more in schools? Are they more in packs?
You see a lot of like small wolf packs, like 2 to 3 fish, deals swimming around. I rarely ever see like a giant school swimming
Hmm.
around. Usually they're either roaming, in twos and threes and stuff like that. Um, and a lot of times they'll be like bait related, if there's bait out there, which you never know where bait's going to be. You just troll around till you find it. You know what I mean? It might be in 50 foot of water. It might be in 10 foot of water. You just kind of
Right.
troll around till you figure out what the bait are doing. And if there's bait, there's some kind of bat, there's probably bass around them somewhere. Um, I mean, you can put the trolling motor down at just about any lake, at any dam, and just take off in the winter and catch fish. You know what
Huh.
I mean? And it's
Yeah.
it's not easy. Don't get me wrong, but it can be done.
You can
Yeah,
figure
but
them out.
yeah, but before you had to spend hours and hours idling on down and side scan trying to find them set up on the bottom somewhere, which this is just completely threw that out the window. I mean, you could still do that, but and there's still a time and a place for that. I mean, I think like the summer months, May, June, July. I don't think that forward facing sonar is quite as dominant as it is right now. Like, it obviously helps lining up on those schools and stuff and brush
Yeah.
piles or whatever. But I don't think it's as far as just chasing random roamers around out in the middle of pockets and middle of the lake. I don't think that's going to be as big of a deal. I think you're going to have to kind of go back to that, you know, hard spot or, point or
Kind of
hump
go
or
back to
whatever.
some
Yeah.
spots and then find them. I mean, still use. I mean, you're still going to use it to scope them and
You're going,
find
you're,
them.
yep, you're still going to use it to, help you make the perfect cast at, a brush pile or if there is a school down there. But yeah, I mean, I mean, livescope's not a new thing. I mean, it's been out for,
Right.
what, like
Right.
8 years or so now,
I
or
think so.
five
Yeah.
years, something like that. I don't know, but
5 years
uh,
really big, but I think 7 or 8 years ultimately that technology has been out. So yeah, I mean it's
people are just now really figuring out how to use it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, there were some guys, like even when I first started on the FLW tour, that were utilizing that and just not telling anybody. They figured it out.
Hmm.
And that they had that huge
Well,
advantage.
Scott Martin
But
was one of them, wasn't he?
Scott Martin, Cody Meyer, there was a few guys that were catching doing that and doing really well. But I don't have anything against YouTube or YouTubers or whatever, but I would say some of that, some of those guys coming in and catching all those giants with it and showing exactly how they're doing it,
Yeah.
has definitely made a lot, has sold a lot of those graphs and,
Yeah.
and really
Yeah,
showed
they
people how to do it and how effective it is. Because, I
Ben
mean,
Milliken should get a big check from them.
no doubt, Ben Milliken, Josh Jones, all those guys. I mean, they're
Yeah,
great with it, and
they
they've
are.
sold a ton of units. Lawrence, Garmin, both of them. But
Hmm.
without those guys, I don't know that there would be quite as many people doing it.
Yeah, that's true. They
Because
have
they have
made a lot of
exposed it.
awareness. Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
mean,
exposed it.
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
because you don't see as many tournament guys exposing stuff like that. And but those guys, I mean, they're so dominant with it, and you saw how good Milliken was with it, and he
yep,
went and fished the opens and qualified for the Elite Series in 1 year. You know what I mean?
yep,
That's crazy. And
and
people
is
said he
doing
wasn't going
and finished
doing
top in the
great.
top five in the first two events that he's
Yeah,
fished. So I
So
mean,
I've got
yeah.
a question on this. So the guys that actually make this, the technology, like is Humminbird one of those companies, I assume, or not?
Yes, they have one.
Okay. Okay. So companies like that, do they ever do things where they bring you guys in and like have like a 2 or
Seminar.
3 days? Yeah, man, you really, really, really do a deep dive on this to really understand it.
They do. There's different seminars and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
um, that yeah, just about all the brands have, a seminar or two, throughout the country, tackle stores and stuff like that. Trying to show people how to do it and bring more
Well,
awareness to it. But
well, I'm
You
wondering, like with the pros, if there's something where they take y'all and like really, really get into it at a different level. I don't know if they have some, I don't know,
I
like
don't
some
know
I
if
could tell
master technology guy that come in
I
and
could tell
really,
you
really do a course
the
for you.
best seminar that you can get is to hire that man right there and let him take you on Caney Lake and show you
There we go.
how to
That's
use
what I'm
it.
down for. That's what
that's
I'm down for.
that's the
Let's do it.
that go have your lesson on the water. The hell with watching it in some classroom. Go on the water
y'all
and
need
do
to
it.
just book a cabin at Caney one weekend and just come fish with me a few days.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We still need to do.
Okay.
We've been talking about this for a while and do crawfish. It'll have to be
Oh my God.
late spring if we're gonna talk crawfish at this point,
Oh,
dude. That ain't
Are
happening.
crawfish like
price is getting better.
$12 a pound down there too?
They have come down to $5 for live, and I think they were still $8 a pound this weekend for boiled,
Hey, we're
which
getting in
means I'm
striking
not
distance
having
of me.
any.
I'm getting close. I'm getting close on that. Like at some point, like I'm definitely waiting another probably, you know, 3-4 weeks, but it's happening.
Oh
It's
yeah,
happening
Yeah,
this year.
I
it'll
went and
have to happen.
splurged after the win and got me a couple pounds.
You deserved it. You deserved it.
I like how you
That's
said
what
a
you can
couple
do
pounds.
when you
Yeah.
get a nice little check like that.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
hell yeah,
yeah.
dude.
I've been craving them, and I was like, what the heck? I mean,
Yeah,
Let's do it,
man.
huh?
let's go get some one night, and I don't know. I'll probably be like you guys. I'm gonna wait till they come down a little more before I go again.
Exactly. So
I'm with you.
going back to live scope, Tyler. These rigs. I went to the Bassmaster Elite event on Toledo and walked around, saw all of their boats and all. Was just kind of blown away. One of them had 7 freaking graphs on it. It's
Yep.
it's stupid. You've probably seen that Chris Zaldane video
Yeah, I
of him
have.
walking around the boats. Dude, is that necessary? Number one. And I mean, it looked, some of those, that dude with the 4, I mean, that's a safety issue. It isn't already it the easiest you can see over that windshield, but then you're going to put something else. I think it's we're getting a little out of hand here.
I mean, if you have the funds to use every piece of technology you can to help you, I don't see why it's a bad deal. If I could have 5 16-inch graphs on my boat, I would. I
You,
would run it.
hell yeah.
I
And
mean,
some
I don't.
crappie
I don't.
brakes too. Would you put those
the-
brakes
I
on the
would
boat?
run the brakes. I'll be honest. Before we go up north this year, I will have some crappie brakes on my boat for sure.
Will you?
Um,
Yeah.
Yep, and I'll probably end up putting a transducer, like a forward facing transducer, on the back too. So, uh, we talked about
How do
the
you
live scope and stuff, and that right there is it's something some guys are doing. They're putting, a active target or a live scope transducer on the back, and it's substituting side scan, but it's giving you a picture exactly like it would on forward facing sonar. So all those fish that are
Oh,
suspended that are extremely hard to see on side scan,
yeah,
you can just
you can
idle
see them.
and find those fish, with while you're idling,
So it
not on the
just
trolling
point
motor.
you just you're not turning it around, and it's just
No,
it's
you run them on
stationary
both. You can run
mounted.
them on both sides or run them on one. I'll probably
Okay.
just run it on one side, and just run it straight out the side of the boat, the right side of the boat. Usually when I'm like side scanning something, I'm always looking out to the right side for some reason. So I'll probably run it out to the right, and like when we're up north looking for rock piles and stuff, I think that's going to be like a huge key. So
Yeah, for sure.
I don't disagree with it. Like I'm all for the technology. I think bring it on. I mean, if they release
Um,
something where you can see the scales on the fish, I mean, I think that's awesome. You know.
well, we may get there. It's AI
Hey,
and all of that.
technology, what it does, it
I mean,
advances. It
the
gets better.
the evolution of technology. You go with a flasher, they had the flasher, and that was like the game changer back in the late 70s, early 80s. Then you move on, to 2D sonar, color
Holy
2D
shit.
sonar. And then I think the biggest leap is whenever you got mapping.
Yep.
Actually had GPS maps and lake maps, and then KVD and all of them leading the way to get the true lake maps, with all the contours and everything on just about every lake. That was as big of a leap in technology as there has ever been in
Right.
fishing. And then on to side imaging, 360, and then now forward facing sonar. I mean, I don't think there's any really for it to go. You can have what Blakey, they have these boats. Crappie brakes are just motors on the back of the boat, and then you've got the
Right.
trolling motor on the front, so you can stabilize it, or you can go up on a fish and hit those brakes and
Yep.
not spook them. Fishermen, you
Well, a
move
lot
to
of
the
times
bass
what's
fishing
weird,
world.
Okay, so it's without reverse thrust and creating all that action, so you're just dropping it down the back.
right? And those
Right.
fish are like they're really they're I don't know, they get like when your transducer's pinging, I don't know, they're really curious. It seems like a lot of times they'll swim towards the boat. So when you're trolling towards them and they're swimming towards you, you have like one cast before they're under the boat and they spook. So those
Yeah.
crappie
Yeah.
breaks, I think are definitely, a game changer. Would help you get, a few more cast in before that fish spooks.
Yeah. How
Oh,
do
that's
you
awesome.
operate that? I mean, you've got, how do you operate the brakes? They're buttons up front, obviously, but
So there's just a one button up there, and so you let your poles down, and obviously it's got the trolling motors in the water, and then you're just kind of trolling around, and then when you see one, if you're getting too close to it or the wind's blowing you up on it, you just hit that button, and those brakes will turn on and pull you backwards. It's not a
It's
real complicated thing. I think it's actually pretty user friendly.
oh, I've never been in a boat that had them, but I've seen them. I've seen them around. Man, it's just boats have done it. I've looked at the Louisiana Outdoor Expo in Gonzales this past weekend. I looked at some boats and was looking at the interior and the designs of they design these boats now, the gauges of wire that they run, all of the
Yep.
batteries. Really, I mean, you could spend upwards to 120 grand on a damn boat, bass boat now, rigged out, to if you wanted to in a heartbeat, and that's nuts to me. But
yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, some guys were running $50,000 worth of just graphs on their boat.
it's yeah,
Isn't that
I
crazy?
had my I I had like a $40,000 bass boat back in the day, and that was not a cheap bass boat. 25 years ago, 20 years ago. It's crazy how far that's come, but that evolution, just the way that's why it's not going to stop. The people who are bitching and complaining about it, just get used to it because it's not going anywhere. Like you say, Lawrence, Bird, those
Yep.
guys are only going to advance this technology. It's only going to get better,
Yep.
get worse. And the genie's out of the bottle. You can't put that thing back in. Just
I,
adapt.
I don't
That's
know.
it.
I mean, it seems like to me, it's more of the elite guys, like the bassmaster guys, that are complaining about it. It seems like there's more of those old school just hammers over there that have done so well for so long. If I see it
Yep.
getting monitored at all, it seems like it would happen on the Elite Series before it happens on the MLF side. It seems like MLF's
Yeah.
almost racing it, and the Bassmaster guys just hate it.
You're right. I know it's the counter.
Does
It's a
And that may end up
difference in
becoming
the
like an
two
issue for
tours.
them because y'all all of a sudden you overtake from a viewership perspective. People want to watch
Yep.
that a little bit more, right? You know what I mean? That's where the cool stuff is.
Well,
Right.
and,
People are not getting younger; they're getting older, right? And so these younger generations are coming up, and that they're the
right.
ones who are going to be watching this.
To me,
So
that's what
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. But a lot of people complain and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to watch people stare at their screen all day. It's hurting the viewers." I think you know, that was a lot. That was one of the arguments. But I think on Bass Live, it hit like record numbers at Toledo Bend this year. And
Yeah, it did.
so, I mean, a lot of people are
People
saying
seem
that
to be
it's
wanting to watch it.
hurting it, but in reality, I think I enjoy watching it. I mean, it's like I said, it's something that I'm trying to get better at. So, anytime anybody's really catching them doing it, I mean, for me, I just want to see it, what they're doing different than I do.
Yeah,
Sure.
something you can learn
Makes
from
sense.
it. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
beauty of fishing these days is you can actually watch all of your competitors. You can go back and watch on
yeah,
YouTube and watch the live. You can watch it, which is freaking incredible. You can
It
learn
is.
stuff. You know, you're always going to be learning. So I can only imagine stories that happen and all of that stuff while you're you're on the road and the trash talking and all of that good stuff. But yeah, that it's not going anywhere. People just need to embrace it. I hate seeing some of these quote unquote heroes of ours and legends kind of like, yeah, just suck it up, Buttercup. It's go get
yeah.
it. You got the money. You got the money. You go learn how to do it. Get out of the woods in the damn
Yep.
fall and go learn how to use your graph like some of these other people are doing. I
And
mean,
that's
they're
another
spending the
thing too.
time.
That's exactly what it is. The younger guys during the off season, they are not taking a break. They are out there on the water, spending the time. You know, some of these older guys that have been doing it for so long that are probably so burnt out from fishing their whole life. You know, those are the guys
Yep.
that are not really embracing it, not getting out there and really trying to learn it. But but I don't know. I'm anxious to see where it goes and stuff. But personally, I don't think it's going anywhere, and I think it's just going to get better.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's a great.
I
That's a
think
great
so
deep dive
too.
on that because I'm so shallow on all of this, and other than what Brantley's told me, and then I watched a little bit at Toledo Bend, some of the coverage there. Like, so this is pretty cool for you to dive into it like this, but it makes perfect sense. I don't think
Yeah,
it's going anywhere. And like you said, start watching these guys on YouTube. Watch your game film just like they do in football. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
just get better, man. Put the time in. It sounds like everybody's just got to step their game up, and
yeah.
work a little harder.
The new
So
thing that's going on right now is these guys are shallow scoping. Like at first, it first kind of hit the deal, and people were catching them out deep. Those suspended fish out in 20 to 40 foot of water, and those fish
hmm
to me are pretty easy to see and make out what's a bass, what's not. The guys that are really killing it right now are the ones that have figured out how to catch them in that like 2 to 5 foot range, and they are so hard to see when they're that shallow, and
yeah.
that's
How
something
are
that I'm
they?
not.
How
I'm
are they
not good. Like
seeing
I'm
them?
not good at that. I mean,
How do they
dude,
see
I
them?
would. I wish I knew,
If you
but
knew, you would tell you would do it.
I mean,
That's
like Scott
unbelievable.
Martin. Scott Martin just won an event this year on
On
Okeechobee,
Okeechobee, wasn't it?
and
Yeah,
uh, and he was bed fishing with it on perspective. You know, I mean,
that's crazy.
catching them in 2 foot of water. I mean, and like at our event we just left. I mean, half the guys in the top 10, behind me, were catching them on that shallow stumps, shallow laydowns, that weren't sticking out of the water. And that's just something that, like, I know I'm not good at, and it's something I'm going to have to spend some more time doing. But
Right.
I'm not scared to admit it. I suck at it, and it's something that I'm going to have to practice. Or I'm going to get, guys are going to, leave me behind. So, but
Yeah. Yeah. Man. Yeah. That's it. It's here to stay. Get used to it. Everybody suck it up and go learn. I mean,
yeah,
if Rick Clunn, freaking Clunn, dude, is now with 6 Cents and as he's learning how to live scope, if that isn't an inspiration to you, then I don't know what it is. I mean, that dude's still wanting to get better. He's been fishing
yeah.
for over 50 years of professional bass fishing. Tyler, do you think you will be fishing? Do you think you will have a 50-year career?
Dude, I hope so,
Do
but
you
that's a
want one?
long.
Do you want to fish for 50 years?
I don't know, dude. I'm already all broke up from fishing. I gotta have shoulder surgery Friday.
Oh man.
So
Do you really? Oh
yeah,
man.
I had surgery last fall. I've been going to therapy for 8 months, and it's just gotten worse. And they're going to cut me back open Friday and try to get me ready for that next tournament 3 weeks from now. So
Wow, that's gonna be
we'll see how that goes.
some skilled work there.
Oh man. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
But
I
hopefully
don't. If I'm
it'll
like this at 29, I don't know how I'm going to be at 50.
right. I don't know how he's done it, dude. That guy's unbelievable. Definitely one of my fishing heroes. And I know that you and I have had this conversation, my friend, about one of my all-time favorite fishing hero, Mr. Larry the General Nixon. Dude, how fun was it to get to be around that dude? Is he really, would you,
He
I know
is
that
one of the nicest guys.
is he really the general? I know that when that whole split was kind of happening, that he was behind the scenes talking to y'all like a general, like a
Yep.
coach.
Yeah,
Which is
I mean,
freaking awesome.
I've had dinner with him before. He's just one of the most laid back, nicest guys out there. And
Well,
I know you appreciated that selfie I got with him and sent you that time.
oh,
I didn't show him
did.
your
I
rat,
did.
but I wanted to.
well, a little breaking Tigs bits tonight. I'm going to play a couple of these things, so I'll explain them first. Number one, Larry Nixon is my favorite fisherman of all time. Tyler Stewart is coming up very fast, but Larry Nixon is my boy. I got to fish one time. I got to fish with him. I knew his father-in-law and all of that, and he was at the lake. And his father-in-law, he liked to sip a little bit. And we were at this event one night, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to just come meet us. Come meet us out there. Come meet Larry. He'll show you. He'll teach you some stuff." I was like, "All right." The problem with telling me that is that I'm gonna be there. Like, okay, so I go and I launch it. I launched at that ramp that's on the Texas side when you cross Pendleton Bridge. It's a new marina now. I think they've redone it all, but you know where I'm talking about. I met Larry there, and we talked. I fished by him. He taught me a couple of things on some worms. Caught a couple of fish. Was as nice as could freaking be, you know. So that guy's always been like at the top of my list. But with that said, me and my buddy John Melvin Miller, Johnny, if you're watching this, and I know you're going to be, back in high school, Larry Nixon had his fishing show, and it was our favorite, my favorite. And you know, at times though, when Larry would catch these fish, it was damn near like he was having an orgasm. It was unbelievable, and we would sit there and just kind of pretend that is exactly what was happening. So Tyler's up there; he's leading on Lake Champlain, and I'm freaking out. I'm fired up for Tyler, and my buddy John and I like to make these just dumb songs. Blasey, you've heard some of these. I've sent you some. These are things that never need to be shared. They're just creative outlets, we will call it. So in Tyler's honor, we stayed up all damn night going back and forth making a couple of this
Tell me
song.
you have something you're about to play right here because you're building this up. There
Oh
better be
yeah,
a
I do.
song.
I've got a little
Okay.
clip. It's not the whole thing's like 5 minutes long. I'm not
Yeah.
going to play the whole thing.
Yeah.
I got a little 37-second clip of it. But yeah, I sent
Yeah.
what I'm about to
Yes.
play to Tyler. I was like, "Tyler, what time do you wake up to go? Because I don't want to send you a text message, wake you up or anything like that before Championship Sunday." And he's like, "I think I get up at 3 or something." I was like, "Perfect." So because he was on the East Coast, we were up to like 2 o'clock making this dumb thing. It's so stupid, but we sent it to him, and it's in honor of my boy, Mr. Larry Nixon. So let me pull it up. Here we go.
Is this the?
Oh,
Come
it's
here,
the
big
one.
guy. Go away. What are you doing to me? Big old fat fish. Man, what a humpback bass. Come here to me. Boy, that's a good one right there. That is a good. Look at the hump back on that thing. Big old south ass.
Morning. In a bag, don't need Gucci on my back. TV Gucci got my back.
Yes. It went on for
portion.
it's 37 seconds of just the dumbest thing maybe ever made.
I want to see
a
the one
5-minute
that you
song.
sent me.
Which one? I've got a bunch of them. It may be what closes
great.
what closes our show. I got a bunch
The
of
one
them.
that was like something about a big old bass. Or
That's
something,
it. That is the show closer. We have an outro with that. So yeah, we'll hit that here in a second. But man, we'll kind of start to wrap up here. We've been going for forever. And dude, so proud of you, man. I'm so it's honored that you would come on and talk about it. Way well deserved, buddy. And go get you some more of those wins, dude. Go get
That's
you
the
some more.
plan, man. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, Tyler,
Absolutely.
Man, definitely enjoyed talking to you. I learned a lot tonight here. That's so cool. We are 100%. We're going to come up there, do what you talked about. We're going to rent a place
Yeah.
up there. I'm down with that. That'd be so dang awesome.
I want you to
mean,
help me out on the beach too.
I got you.
I'm so bored when I go to the beach. If I could just figure out how to catch a few fat fish up there, I'd be all right.
I'll tell you what we'll do.
take
We're
care of
going to
that.
get
We'll
you.
take
Let
care
me
of that.
know when you're coming, when you're going to Orange Beach, and Blasey and I will meet you there.
Oh, you dang
and
right. I'll
we
slide
won't
over in a
interfere.
heartbeat.
Allison, if you're listening to this, we will not interfere with your vacation. We have other people we can see, but we will go show Tyler and go visit with him and fish for a little bit. So
That's exactly
sounds
what we'll do.
fun.
Yeah.
well, hang with us for a second. Tyler, I'm going to outro this, and appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you guys next week.
That's a beautiful ass. Oh,